Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox. I am so glad you're joining me here today. I am sharing a new stamp and die set called Better at the Beach. This is a great time for summertime or for anybody that lives at the seaside or loves the seaside because it features these Adirondack chairs, the umbrella, the water, a fire pit, really some great elements in this. And then of course it has the matching die set that cuts out all of these goodies. Then I'm going to be using one more item. This is a cover plate called Tropical, and it will create that whole kind of frame of the scene that we're going to be creating. And then the papers I'm going to be using today are just two. One is the white cardstock and the other is some watercolor paper. I'm using hot press, but you can use any that you like. And then so I'm taking an A2 panel of the white cardstock and I'm going to cut out this cover plate. And this is a very, very detailed cover plate. So you either want to use an electronic cutter like a Gemini, or use a chrome cutting plate if you're using like a Big Shot or something like that, because you want to get out all of this wonderful detail. I'm just using a little X-Acto knife here for the little areas that are a little bit more stubborn, and then I'm just going to poke out all of these little pieces. When you have all these little pieces, this is what gives you this wonderful detail. And I'm just going to poke those all out. And there's a bunch of them here, so just bear with me for a minute. And then I'm going to cut across. It has this kind of boardwalk, but I'm going to take a lot of it away, and I'm just going to use this cutter that I can move right to the center, and then just cut a line. As you can see how I cut that line there. And then I'm going to take a pair of scissors and then just carefully cut around the kind of reeds there, the plants, where it makes sense, so it doesn't look like it was just chopped off. It looks like it was kind of natural. And then now I have my frame done, and I'm going to set that aside because I'm going to go on to my scene. I have some masket paper here. This is from Inkadinkadoo, and I'm going to, I have a piece of masking paper. I have, you see off to the left, I have taken an ordinary piece of copy paper and just kind of sketched it out with my Copic markers to get an idea what size I want it to be and what I kind of want it to look like. I've taken this piece of masking paper that I've ripped the edge off. I want that ripped edge because I want it really uneven for my sand. And then I have cut a circle. I think this circle is 1.25 inches, and I have cut it out with a die, and I'm just going to position it after I've cut off about 1/3 of it. And you can see I'm using that little quick drawing that I made as a guide. And now that I know that I have that right in the right position, I'm going to take the water portion of this stamp. This is a stamp that's included in the Better at the Beach, and I have inked it with Hawaiian Shores, and I've inked that up. Now it didn't ink completely, but I'm not going to worry about it because I can go and I can ink it again, and I can stamp it and make it a little bit more, put more ink on there. But now I'm still not going to worry about any of those little areas that I might be missing because I am going to add another color anyway. I'm going to first take the Hawaiian Shores, and then I'll take Blueberry Sky as a deeper color. And I'm just drawing little quick lines. This is just really quick, just to give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit more color difference. And I'm just drawing lines in here for my water. And I still have my mask that down below where my sand is. I'm going to peel that off. Now I can do the sand portion. I'm using Honey Nut here, and I've just loosened it with a little bit of water. I've smushed it onto my work surface, then loosened it with water. Here I'm using some dark chocolate, and I'm going to add in a little bit of the dark. And now with a tiny brush and my brush really upright, I'm going to put a bunch of dots in here to help me make it look a little bit more like sand. And I'm going to add the honey nut and the dark chocolate dots around. Then I think I'm going to actually add a little bit of black too, just for my, give some contrast in this sand. And I still have my sun little circle in place. So I'm going back to my blueberry sky, again smushing it on my glass mat and loosening it with water and putting that in. And I've left an area around the sun. I have bright buttercup and summer sunrise. And I still have my mask where my sun is, where it's setting. And then I added some of that little combination of colors going through the water so you can see reflection. And then I have it going around the sun because it's radiating that wonderful golden sky. And I'm going to put in more of the summer sunrise for the sun. Now, I didn't wait when I should have let it dry a little bit, so it bled, but that's all right. I'm going to go around it when it dries a little bit with my buttercup, bright buttercup and summer sunrise. See that it's a lot crisper now. And now that I have that pretty much the way I like it, I'm going to use my trusty Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white ink, and I'm just putting in some lines in the sky for my clouds, and I'm also putting a little bit in the ocean because you're going to have the kind of that white cap kind of look, and I think it does add to it. I'm not diluting this very much with water at all. I want it to stay pretty white. Now that was all done, and I'm going to set it aside to dry. In the meantime, let's cut out all of these pieces. I'm going to keep it all together, and I'm going to put some repositionable tape on the back side. Some of those are popping out. I'm going to put it in my stamp positioner. You've seen me do this many, many times if you've watched my videos before. And I love doing it this way where I cut it first. I get a much better impression and it's centered and it looks so much better, and I can go over it many times if I need to. Like for instance, on this umbrella, I want it to be red, and red, I wanted to get really good coverage. But I'm going to take each of these pieces and I'm going to put them in place. Now for the there are a few pieces to the fire pit, and there's lots of pieces to the Adirondack chairs. I'm going to take these solid ones first. I'm going to put these down, so we're going to do the kind of the cloth covering of these chairs. And so I'm going to put in the solid one first, get those all positioned right, and then stick them to my door. And then I'm going to start inking them up. But first I'm going to take this little skinny, this is the pole for my umbrella. I can't get it to stay upright long enough on to put it on my door, so I use just an acrylic block for that. Works out much better. So for the umbrella, I am using the Pure Poppy and the Fire Pit Weather Vane, and then I'm using Aqua Mist for my chairs. The chairs have many pieces to it, and we'll go through each one, but I'm going to start out with the background of the fabric of it. I want to just go over this again because I want to get a really good impression. Now you'll see the white section of this umbrella. There actually is a stamp that is, you can color that too if you want to. I wanted to leave it white, but you can color it. Now there's this little piece that's going to, on this umbrella, I'm going to use some True Black ink, and that just gives it more definition to the umbrella. The umbrella is done now, so I'm just going to remove that out of there, and I'm going to continue on. I do have those kind of reeds there, and I'm going to color these reeds. I have Ocean Tides, Prairie Grass, and Olive Twist, and I'm stamping it mostly with Ocean Tides with a little bit of the Prairie Grass at the top, and then down at the bottom I'm going to be using the the olive twist. I want to say Oliver twist there. But it's the olive twist, and I'm just going to stamp another one. I'm actually going to do 3 of these in the end. And then now I'm going to go back to the chairs. I'm going to put the stripes into the chairs now. And I'm going to add to the fire pit. There's this, there's the little logs there. But first, so I have the logs there, and they have part of the fire. So I'm going to kind of position that in, and we'll put in the stripes for the chairs. Now you'll see I'm going to use Hawaiian shores for the chairs, and then a brown, the cocoa bean for the brown for the logs. And then there's this little piece that gives a little bit more detail to the actual fire pit. And now I'm going to use these 2 part of the wood part of the chairs. There's a whiter one and a thinner one. And you'll see what I mean when you get this stamp set. But this has a little wider wood parts. And so I'm using the cocoa bean there. You can also use honey nut. I kind of prefer the honey nut. And I'm stamping that. So I stamped over it with the honey nut. And then the true black for my fire pit. Now I'm going to use the skinny part of these chairs. This is just to give it more definition. And I'm going to put in the part of the fire pit. I am using Summer Sunrise for that. And then now I'm using some dark chocolate. And that just gives a little bit more definition to our chairs. And then I'm put in the pure poppy for the fire there. I finished out the fire. There's 3 pieces to that fire, the logs, and then the orange and the red. Now I'm going to do a sentiment. There are some sentiments with this. I stamped this larger one. I also stamped a smaller one that says You and Me by the Sea. You see it there. And now I'm going to take just a medium brown marker. This is an alcohol marker, and I'm going to just color those little pussy willows, those at the tops of them, just to give it a little bit more definition. And then now this is all dry, my watercolor background. I am adhering it to an A2 card base that is white, and it's slightly, that watercolor panel is very slightly smaller, just so it doesn't peek out on the edges. And now I'm putting some glue onto this. Remember how we cut this all out? And I'm just going to stick that on, and it covers the whole front. And that is just all coming together. Now I can add my pieces. These have foam tape on the main pieces. So on the chairs and the umbrella have foam tape on them. And I'm just going to, right now, I'm just kind of positioning them to see if I like where it's going to go. I thought I would put just a dot of glue there, but then, and I am going to do that, but I'm going to go back to that. But I'm going to just kind of put these where I think they might go. And I decided that the smaller sentiment I liked a little bit better. So now I liked it. Took them all off. Now I'm going to stick them all back on. I just had to get a visual picture of where everything's going to go. Then I can peel off the foam tape backing and stick them all in place. The fire pit, I did not use foam tape. I just stuck that right onto the card front. I clipped off the umbrella so that pole doesn't get in the way. And I'm going to just put some glue on my little reeds here. Tuck in my sentiment. It just fits perfectly there down below. And it just that wonderful tropical cover plate just frames this card design. I just love that. Now I've stuck these all down, and the only thing I need to do is turn it over and just trim off these pieces. just even with it. It's easier when you turn it onto the back side. You can see what's sticking out there. And there you have it. And it really comes together really quickly. That you just spend most of the time just stamping your pieces, like your chairs and the umbrella. I hope you really enjoyed this project. I just love this scene by the sea. It is so refreshing and so summery, but you can use it for any time, especially if people live by the seaside. And then don't forget the items that I used are Better at the Beach stamp and die set. And then remember, I didn't list it, I'm so sorry. There's the cover plate Tropical, and then I used various Papertrey ink cubes. But to see all of the supplies that I use, please click the link down below or go to foilfox.com. And then don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'd be over the moon if you would do that. And then again, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.